Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Brandon,
And I'm Courtney.
and welcome to the Time Travelers Club. So, today it's a little different.
Yes.
We are going to do kind of like a season recap, a little more free form, a little more free flow. We usually have some kind of script we're working from,
Yes.
but
So we're
today,
chaos today.
but yeah, it's kind of, but controlled chaos. There are prompts. There's a
Okay.
little bit of an outline, but little bit, but it's more about we'll go back and forth asking questions, things like that. You know, kind of get a behind the scenes look of how we did this first season.
Yes, because this first season, I'm not going to lie, it started in creative chaos.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's how all these different like shows work. You know,
You
like,
have to figure. You have to figure.
I mean, nothing comes from fully formed. You know,
No.
and I think we did a good job. You know, we'll get into it, but I think we did a
Yes.
good job of like we had a vision, we kind of had an outline, and then the latter part of that outline is what kind of got like it snowballed.
It did.
It went further than we thought. 6 months plus is a long time.
Oh my gosh. For one season, 6 months was not our initial thought process around it. Realistically, what was our initial timeline? We thought that we were going to be done with season 1 by Christmas.
Yeah, I thought it was like before Christmas season because I
Yeah.
think we thought about launching season 2, which we'll talk about in a bit. I like October during spooky season, and we were wrong.
We were so wrong.
We were very wrong. So yeah. So I'm gonna get this started, right? So here's kind of like, which I'm glad we didn't go too much into it. The first question we have is, what got us started on this journey, and why did we pick the subject matter for this particular season?
So started on this journey, like obviously, hi, you're a historian.
Yeah, and I kind of just out of the blue, like she was talking about listening to podcasts, like, would you like to do a podcast with me? Because I've been wanting to do one since like 2020. But like I felt like no one wanted to listen to my voice. No one wanted to listen to me ramble.
I
And
do.
and she did. So I'm like, maybe that's what I've been needing is just that encouragement, someone who wants to do this with me.
Mhm.
I need a friend.
Hi, friend.
I need a buddy. It was like that when I was in school. Like when I would do my art classes and stuff, I always felt more motivated when there was people around me.
Same. Very much same.
I find when I'm alone, I do a lot less because it's me having to motivate myself, and I guess I just feed on the energy of other people around me.
Reciprocation.
Yeah,
it's that reciprocation flow.
There's a term for it for ADHD people, where
body doubling.
Body doubling, and I need that, and also I think it's also about writing. Having a person's like kind of like an accountability buddy. It's like if I don't do it, I'm gonna feel bad. So I do it.
So you tricked yourself with psychology.
Exactly. That's how we work here. It's almost like I've been dealing with this thing for like my entire fucking life. But
just a little bit.
A little bit. But yeah, I mean that's I think kind of where the start was is just I kind of threw it out there and you were like, let's do it. And I thought I was gonna have to fight a lot harder.
No, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it, let's go. So I've done a different podcast before. It was more over spirituality and things of that nature. But I am a huge history buff. History has always been one of those things where, like, I love me a good documentary. We're gonna curl up on the couch and we're just gonna watch and we're gonna have a great time. And I'm gonna sit there and going, what the fuck is that? Like that is my football game.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's about people, right? People are people. People have been people in for a long time, and
they have been.
And there's sometimes where it's like, wow, that's crazy. I don't think I ever look back like, wow, they were real dumb back then because we repeat so much of it. But at the same, like some people do that. But at the same time, I feel like more often than not, it's more, wow, like I'm pleasantly surprised about the things that we still have in common.
Absolutely.
And not just like the big political stuff, but like individual experiences,
just
like
the day to day,
like that last episode we did. Just that the idea of being a mom and like what that's like, watching people go through mental health struggles, including suicide, and like seeing that, and like that's something we can still see today.
it hasn't been cured.
No.
It's not a human aspect that has been grown out of.
But it's identifiable. There's certain things, and it's like humanizing the story, right? Because it's like we talked about in that last episode. It's like mainstream kind of makes it like, oh, they lost that battle and then they went to Alexandria and just died dramatically.
Yeah, no.
But it was like a whole year of this buildup, right? And if you really actually see the buildup, like, wow, that's something I've seen people struggle with. I've seen
very much so.
And then it makes it relatable. People have always been peopling.
People have always been peopling. People have always been dealing with mental health issues. People have always been dealing with power struggles. Like this is a tale as old as time, and it will keep going.
Yeah, like women have always, I feel sadly, kind of still are. It's like weird for a woman that you can almost relate to Cleopatra. Like, oh, she's strong, she's opinionated, and she speaks for herself, and men don't like that. And we're going to either make her masculine, or we're going to make her a seductress or a manipulator or whatever. But like when a man does that, and like we still see that happening today, and I think that's unfortunate. But I mean, again, those are the bigger swatches. But like seeing those like more micro moments, I think is really important to humanize these people.
It is, and like you've said so many times, we sit here and we're in a history class, or we're doing a like we're watching a documentary or anything, and it's 30 minutes of time, and you are condensing somebody's entire life into 30 minutes of time. You have to go bullet points at that point. You have to literally make them a fileable thing versus a flesh and blood human.
It's funny. This is my inner nerd a little bit coming out. So there's this game, Dragon Age, right? Okay. And there's a moment in Dragon Age 2, depending on one of the responses, you can, or it's like, it might be Dragon Age 3. Anyway, the point, it might have been Inquisition.
Okay.
So the point is that your character could be like the smart history nerdy guy, like I usually end up being. And so they're like, oh, I know you. And then you kind of give like this summary of who Flemeth is. And Flemeth responds like, I hope you never have to, or something along the lines of like, essentially, I hope you never have to go through your entire life being summarized in 5 seconds.
Oh.
Like, and it kind of gets, that really stood out to me.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, huh. Like, that's kind of what we do in history a lot of times. It's like, you condense an entire life in like a couple minutes, a phrase or two in a class, and you're like, wow. Imagine your entire life condensed to that small, like, that's it.
Just not even a paragraph, just a couple of
and
words.
I know there's a lot of filler arc in there, like using the bathroom, but like that you're not going to write about. But like, hopefully not, because if that's part of your 30 seconds, that's unfortunate. But like, oh yeah, and then he died diarrhea death. Like,
hey, death by diarrhea.
That's unfortunate. But that being said, like, I think, of course, like you're not going to spend the entire person's lifetime discussing their entire life, but like, but like at the same time, giving them more than that 30 minutes, right? Like give them, especially when we do have enough info, because that's part of the problem, right? A lot of these people's lives, it's like, and we literally don't know anything about them until the age of 30. And you're like,
they literally appear,
especially
fully formed.
Especially women, because like we don't care until she's married. So it's like, and she lives to be 30. So you're like, okay, so we got 15 years of this life to talk about.
Damn.
Okay. But at the same time, like, I think we can do better than 30 minutes typically, right? So
I mean, technically, some of our episodes are 2 hours long.
Yeah, I think we did. We did a good job with that.
We did a good job with that. But my God,
I think it's because we picked some of the 2 most famous people in history, where there is a lot of things written before, during their lifetimes, after their lifetimes, really long after their lifetimes. So I think that's part of it,
Well, it's not just that. It is also, as we've gone into, the propaganda of it.
Yeah.
Because
and having to sit through it.
These 2 people were written and rewritten and rewritten to fit a narrative versus the flesh and blood actual actions that they took.
Correct.
And I think that is a massive part on why there is so much conflicting information, but just the breadth and width of the information to begin with.
Right. So that, I mean, segues into maybe part 2 of this question is, like, why did we pick this particular subject matter?
Because the clarity of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
The Cleopatra and Mark Antony have always been clear as mud.
I think that that was part of it. It's like, on the one hand, the reason we picked this for our first season, you want to pick something that we are deep diving.
Yeah.
But we don't want to go into this really weird niche topic that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, why don't we talk about something that people think they know and actually really tell you the full story? And I think that's why we picked it,
Yeah.
especially since it involved two people. Like we said at the beginning of their story, it's like one's kind of known as being this dumb jock, and the other is being known as the seductress, manipulator, hussy.
Manipulator, hussy, but also not that good looking, but also
so really good looking somehow. Which is
like gorgeous, and her titties could make empires fall, but also
she was uggo.
She's a butter face.
like, and it turns out okay,
which one is it?
Right, and we've kind of fallen out. Not that it matters anyway, but
yeah,
I just don't feel like you're a butterface, and apparently,
yeah,
I think it's right. Like, you see that now. You see people, really beautiful celebrities or whatever, and they're like, I don't know, I don't think she's that hot.
Some people just really like to bring other people down.
Like God forbid someone's attractive and smart, and maybe she's not your flavor, whatever. But we also talked about how she's represented in art. Some of that's intentional, oh, she has this hawk nose, or that was because she's trying to. We don't. At the end of the day, we just don't know what she looks like, and it shouldn't matter. But here we are.
She was Greek.
Yeah.
She was Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the point of that being, I think, is just that we picked this subject because, yes, it's really well known, but so it'll gain some traction, hopefully. But being able to tell the story from maybe a slightly different perspective, definitely in more depth. Right? So, so next question. What was your favorite episode or topic this season?
Oh God. Okay.
There's a lot of bangers.
Oh, there was a lot of bangers. Really? Right in front of my salad?
Which there's so many going back into researching it more. There's even more story there that I didn't cover, and I'm like, damn it, I should have brought that one up. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
No, that was the one that captured me immediately, just really right in front of my salad. And we were talking about that for so long before we recorded it. And just dying.
Something about her catching his semen and him catching other people's semen, and then snakes charming it out of someone's forehead, or whatever. It was a lot. It was a lot. My favorite one was probably the Dionysian episodes. I really loved those. I mean, some of the stories were beautiful. And, and again, I would almost want down the line, maybe even do another recap or remaster, because there's even more stories that I never got to cover, including some of the gay ones. And
as we do.
And it's kind of it's beautiful, but then also penis parades and dicks on sticks. And I love that. And all the orgies, and just rending people, tearing them limb from limb.
Yes,
we love that. But I mean, I just thought that was really this kind of beautiful.
Our buccanettes.
Yes, so but the maenads and stuff like that, and how this is the one place women could be liberated and actually be themselves and throw themselves into it. And it's, some people loved it, some people hated it.
Well, it was loved and it was feared.
Yeah, depending on who you talk to.
It's who you talk to, and are you the person in power that has been abusing? Because what is Dionysus over?
I know. Revolution. Yeah, he's the common god, for sure. He's and of all the gods, right? He's the one that's most approachable when it comes to people.
Yes.
His curse is typical. He can be bad. He can be scary. But typically a lot he's got a lot more lighthearted ones. He's a lot harder to offend, it seems.
Harder to offend.
He's more down for a good time. Yeah. You can offend him, and he will turn you into a fucking vine and kill have you kill your own kid. But typically he's pretty chill, like Midas, you know, in the Golden Touch, and like, you sure about that, bud? Okay.
Are you positive? Is that what you really want?
And then he goes and hits the undo button for him when he realizes he learned a lesson. That's something that a lot of the other ones don't do.
No, they will make you live with it.
And he's also one of the only ones to actually appear in one of his own plays. Like, gods usually don't show up in the play. Yet he is the main character in his. Which is, and he's relatable. That's why I mean literally relatable. Because he's interacting with that audience in like the Bacchae, where he'll kind of look at the crowd and be like,
I'm gonna break the
this
fourth wall
guy
here. Do you see this?
And like this guy. Yeah, you should totally go up that tree in a dress. Wink.
I love breaking the fourth wall. Also, theater kid. So.
And I love, like I said, it's just like he's there. He's got He's got definitely a personality.
Oh yeah.
And I think of all of them, he's the one who lifts a lot of people up. You know, like
he does.
He doesn't judge. He'll hang out with a king as much as he'll hang out with just some rando peasant chick. You know, and like, and not in a "ooh, I'm gonna rape her" kind of way. You know,
it's more of a measure of the quality of you versus your title.
And I find it really interesting that there's, with a lot of his stories, a lot more consensual relationships, more so than any other. I'm sure there's one where he's not, and I think we discussed that.
We did.
But most of them, the majority of them, are like pretty consensual and don't add tragically. You're like, oh, that's refreshing.
Yeah. Zeus, take notes.
But yeah, so on to the next question. What is something or things that you learned that you didn't know before doing this topic?
Oh my gosh, there's not just one.
I know there's so many.
Oh, there's so much. Oh my gosh, there's so much. I'm actually going to go on the technical side because I do the editing, and it's been a trial by fire.
Yeah,
like the editing side has been a trial by fire, and that has been a lot of fun actually. Yeah. Learning all the programs and everything like that, and trying to figure out the fucking audio.
I think honestly, for me, it was, there were a lot of little small things, especially like Mark Anthony. Like, oh, I didn't know that they kind of met. Like, as well, he was a kid, but you know, whatever.
She was a teen. He was an adult.
Yeah, but like, I didn't even know that they had crossed paths before Caesar. But like, that's kind of like a smaller detail. The big one for me before going into this was like, honestly, I didn't know that the battle of the breadth of the Battle of Actium and like their actual ends of their lives was like a whole year. And I'm like, I mean, I always thought it was pretty close because again of how it's described. And I'm like, oh, there's a lot that happens in here. And it changes, and therefore you learn a lot due to that context, and knowing what happens in between completely changes my opinions and how they reacted. It changes the story so much. Like, we see how each of them are handling the situation over the course of a fucking year. Like, that's a huge detail.
Slow breakdown.
Yeah.
Just the part that makes me sad is it was almost like watching Cleo just lose her shit in
trying to figure out how to get out of this. And he's like fully in, like, and kind of in a way, he's like, how do I get out of this? But like in a very final
he's
kind
like,
of way.
How do I
end this?
How am I gonna get out? And she's just like, how can I make sure everyone gets out of this alive?
Yeah.
She's trying to problem solve. He's trying to end the problem.
In a way, for him, not for her.
It's.
Which, I mean, again, this is not shaming anyone who's had these thoughts. You're not in a good headspace. It's okay. Also, he's Roman, so he's probably not even really bred to think that way about how he is a man, it's going to affect everyone else. But even if he did, he's in a different headspace. And
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I feel like I grew up and there's people who, it was like this idea of like, oh, it's so selfish if someone ends their own life. And it's like, oh, I don't like that. You're just throwing that much. You don't think that kind of thing runs through their head a little bit? You know, it's like, and at that point, God, messy.
It's just, it puts more guilt on the person.
Yeah. And I just, stop it. You know, I'm not saying I don't want anyone to ever feel that way, you know, but God, like, oof.
But if you're already in that mindset, that's not
helpful.
That is not a healthy sprinkle.
Right. So next I want to kind of go through a list of characters. We'll try and keep it brief, but there's some main characters we've had throughout the season, right? Cleo, of course, and Antony, but then, Cicero, Caesar, Lepidus, Fulvia, Octavia, and Octavian.
Yes.
So I kind of want to go through this. Also, I don't know why that's there. So, fun fact, a lot of times I'm recording these things, like to type, and somehow in this list it says, I'm a dumb ginger slut who loves cocaine. I'm assuming someone got on my computer at some point and typed that in, and I love that.
I love that song.
And I love that I'm noticing that now. Wonderful.
It's
right. I kind of want to know who did it. Anyway,
I do too.
Because I don't. Anyway, because that feels like someone typed that. Anyway, so this question: what is your point of view on the different characters we met in our story, and how do you feel about them? And did your opinions change on anyone as the story went along? Starting with Cleo.
Oh, Cleopatra. So, honestly, my feelings towards her is, God, she's such a badass.
Yeah, I love her.
Such a fucking badass.
I wish we knew a little more of her, like just her perspective on things. That's what I wish. I hate that we have to.
Fingers crossed for the tomb.
I know.
Fingers crossed for the tomb.
Which that's going to be a Patreon. We're going to cover. There's a wonderful archaeologist. Her name is Kathleen Martinez, and she, I love her story too because it's a lot of like these guys just kind of laughing at her because she's not like classically trained as an archaeologist. Very educated lady, but it's like, oh, this dumb lady coming over here thinking she knows something, and she did. Oh my god! And she's like, they're finding all this crap, and so many people backpedaling on that. Like, oh yeah, we always believe in her. Like, sure.
My ass. Now here's the thing. Formal education is a fantastic thing. But all education is made up.
Right. And I think that there's some degree of self-taught, but I mean, she was a lawyer, so she knows how to research things.
Absolutely.
She understands how to navigate like the legal system and how to like, honestly, like the practical side of archaeology, which is getting the permits. She knows how to do all that and like knows like what's illegal, what's not legal, all that good shit. And I think that, I think it's because she's very, just like Cleopatra, very confident, very self-sufficient, and that threatens people, and they go like they talk down about it. Like
you can
know your
place. Skills. You can cross-use skills. You do not have to be completely specialized.
So I'm there for her. I love her, and I root for her every fucking day. And every time someone goes like, some guy like, oh yeah, I'm researching Cleopatra, I'm like, you better not find it. You better not. I don't want you to be right. And, but I mean, I would be just happy to find her. Don't get me wrong, but like, there's part of me that's just really rooting, and that's why I'm a little biased. But my same though, like Cleopatra, I don't think I learned anything new per se about her, other than again maybe that little bit of her life, which is really, I feel like that's a good narrative for me though. Like I feel like that always that lines a lot more with what I always kind of known about Cleopatra, and then it's like, okay, but then you get to the end of her life, she just ends it, and I'm like, I think there's more, even if it's the case where she did end her own life, at least the context makes a little more sense now.
It does.
Being forced to stay in a room with a body, the mental breakdown over a year, and maybe just kind of like out of spite. Okay. I'm not saying that's cool, but like we're not in a great mental place, and that made more sense to me.
And I think realistically, she actually had the foresight to sit there and be like, okay, if I am alive and my children are alive, my children become a part of me, so they are less human.
Yeah.
So if she was alive during the triumph, they might have all been killed.
Yeah. Which, speaking of her kids, found a biography on her daughter.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm like, I didn't know you existed. As I was looking for, I know. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold up. There's like a whole bio book, because I didn't think there was enough out there, but I guess there is. So there might be like a little bit of a part 2 at some point. Maybe on Patreon, maybe not. I don't know yet. I'm taking myself out of Egypt for a little while. But yeah, no, it's just like I was looking for the next season, completely different subject matter. And I'm like, oh,
there she is.
Into my cart you go. But into my basket. As I sip, like my little frap or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, oh, here we go. But yeah, so now Antony,
honestly, I didn't like Anthony initially. I had more of like the jock
Yeah.
kind of feel. But as we were diving into like his childhood, how he grew up, what he was up against, all of these things, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
it humanized him in a way for me.
Yeah. I would agree with all of that. I mean, in the sense that when I went, I knew a little bit. I'm like, there's got to be more to a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely came. I was just hoping I wasn't going to confirm that he really was just this dumb jock.
Yeah.
But like, no, he seemed very cultured and educated, and I don't think he was just this drunkard going around.
No.
I just think that was again propaganda. Um, but yeah, I think he got really humanized by the end, and
Yeah.
I don't love how he treated some of the women in his life,
I really don't like that.
but he also didn't like. He seemed to be attracted to strong women,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's something he wasn't looking for some silent partner most of the time.
Yes.
And I don't love what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that Cleopatra. To be fair, if there was someone higher than Cleopatra, I have a feeling he might have left her for them. But
he had a habit of trading up. But I will say,
but maybe he loved in the moment.
Yes, and
because he seemed very passionate with these people when he was with them.
Very much so.
And I think if he could have kept them all, I think he would have. But
he would have had a hero, absolutely.
For sure, he'd been poly maybe.
But I think he probably was.
Yeah.
And in Rome, like it wasn't demonized, and it wasn't considered like an affair or anything if you were outside of Rome and had a lover as a man. As a woman, it's completely different story.
Of course.
It's completely different story. But as a man, that was not frowned upon. That was not something to look down on.
Which is funny that, again, Cleo gets called the hoe. But
he's hoeing.
Yeah. Like she had like 2 actual sexual relationships, 4 marriages, or 4 relationships technically, but 2 of them were her brothers.
Yeah.
Her little baby brothers who were actual children.
And she was not going to touch them.
And she didn't diddle the kids, which we love that.
No Epstein.
Yes. So, and they weren't serious, right? They were political in the sense of like, it is a legal thing. But like, at the same time, I don't think anyone actually expected them to procreate with each other. I don't think so.
Fingers crossed.
It's probably more likely that they thought that the boys, when they got older, would have a concubine and procreate with them, and that would be the heir.
Yeah.
Cleopatra was just meant to be more of a side, like, symbolic thing, and she was like, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, she refused to be sidelined,
which we love that for her.
We love.
But like actual real relationships, like realistic relationships, she only had the 2.
She only had the 2, and Anthony had how many?
Right, and also how long did she wait from the death of one, which clearly she had no part in, till the other, right?
Yeah.
And like,
because she grieved.
Right, and like, that's where I'm like, don't understand how she's a hoe. It's only because she was a quote unquote married to them, but like, even if she had been, which she had been with Anthony at the end there, oh well, that doesn't count because she's not Roman. So no matter what, she was wrong. Yeah. But again, I guess
only her that was wrong.
I think Anthony was more complicated character. That's really, I think, the gist of it.
Very much so.
He was definitely less 2-dimensional than I thought going in.
He's not a piece of paper. No. He was not a piece of paper, which is
not surprising at the same time. Like, we're people. None of us are 2-dimensional, right?
Indeed.
And that's the problem when you flatten the narrative. The people become flat in one note too. So
yeah.
So now Cicero,
fuck that guy.
our chickpea,
fucking chickpea. No, okay, we love to hate him.
Yes,
there is
He's a sassy girl. He's kind of the Regina George of this story. he has his hate book, his burn book there.
His burn book. He is,
and we love it. And when everything goes to shit, he's just throwing the pages all across the goddamn school. The little bastard.
No, fuck that guy. But also, like, I love him at the same time, which is so frustrating. So, fucking Cicero.
Damn. Little baby chickpea.
Little baby chickpea. No, but, okay. He is the type of person that literally believes that they are the most intelligent, the most correct, the most right at any
I know his Roman
moment.
audacity.
Oh my god.
His Roman gall.
It was flowing through his veins. Like there was no aspect of him that did not have the gall, the audacity, the what the fuck.
I know, the what a fuckery.
It was absolute fuckery.
And it all started because she forgot to loan him a book. It's just like that could have been an email, but you could have just like reached out and been like, hey, I know we were drunk a couple weeks ago, but I really would be interested in that book. And I know because you're busy running a fucking country, but you may have forgotten.
In an auxiliary manner.
Right.
Because she's outside of her country.
And she probably would have been like, oh, bro, totally forgot. Here you go. Done! Would have been a completely different history by that point. Done!
God. And
who knows?
Might have been on her bandwagon.
Honestly, I think we talk about these big moments in history, like what if, like this was that moment, maybe that's what changed it.
Yeah.
I think weirdly enough for Cleopatra, this was it. A book.
Yeah, a fucking book.
Because like
this is he spreads
the propaganda about her, about Antony, about all this, because he's just such a salty bitch. And like and it's like, I mean, who knows? He may have always been biased and always will have been the outcome, but I'm like, it's funny, like maybe if she had loaned him that book.
No, absolutely. And I think I genuinely, in my heart, I believe if she had lent him that book, he would not have done all of this smear campaign and everything down the line.
Interesting, yeah. I don't know. And like, again, maybe that would have changed his opinion about Caesar. Maybe Caesar, when people were like, we should stab him, he would have been like, nah,
bruh.
And that because they really were looking for him. They were looking for him to take like over. Mm-hmm. And it didn't. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really, who knows? So speaking of Caesar salad.
Fucking kinky boots.
I love kinky boots.
I love the kinky boots.
It was like my favorite thing to learn. Honestly, that's like the other thing.
No. Do you remember
red thigh high boots? Love it.
The red thigh high boots that I sent you? I was like,
yes.
I use these. But I was so pissed because they were bad quality and I wasn't gonna get them.
No.
But like, I just, I wanted to feel like Caesar for a minute.
I just want to go to like a historical convention or something now, fully dressed as like Caesar, but with red thigh high kinky boots. No one's gonna get the reference. No, they're gonna be like this. People are going to judge, and I'm going to be like, these are actually historically accurate.
Yes. No, absolutely, we're doing this. Like, it's just, it's happening.
I know this really wasn't, like, we really tried to not make it about him, right? Because he could be his own thing, and it's been beaten to death. But he's important to their stories.
He is.
Clearly. Like, he's a mentor to one, he's the lover, and, like,
lover and mentor of the other. Technically, it's both.
Yeah, and it's like you can't really talk about either of these people without him kind of being there. Even if we're trying to do it, even if we're very generous towards Cleo and we're doing it from a feminist standpoint, like he's there, right? And like an important part, she influences him. I think that's part of it.
They go back and forth. Like, they influence each other. Able to ping pong these ideas off of each other in such a beautiful manner, in my opinion. Like she is fantastic at the social, economic aspect.
There's a lot of this debate too about like, did she love him or and I'm like, I don't know if that matters, honestly.
I don't think so.
I think like, honestly, yeah. Is it romantic love in the way traditionally like we think of it? No, but I know plenty of women who like dating older guys and like it's a different relationship with every person you're with, right?
Yes.
But do you care about that person, love them? I think so. But also like we talked about that too with Anthony a bit, like when you're this high up in the world politically, like you can't, no decision, you can't afford to be entirely emotional, right?
No, you can't.
So like it's not like you really have freedom of choice or freedom of expression in that way. So like that's where I wish sometimes we really had her voice for this. And that moment of I'm hoping we're able. Even if it's just a glimmer, because that can fill in so many blanks. Because we're like, okay, we have a little bit of her voice, so now we know how she would kind of respond to these things.
Yeah.
But then there's Lepidus.
Okay, so Lepidus, I know he wasn't necessarily like a good guy, but the fact
he was the best guy there.
He was the best guy there. That is saying something.
I mean,
but
like not for nothing. He like actually loved his wife. Like that's crazy. That alone has to love this guy.
The fact that he chose exile to be with her.
Yeah, well, he chose exile, right? But then when she gets caught, he's like, "Yo, it's me you want. Take me." Mm-hmm. He came back out of exile knowing you could kill him, just to like plead for her life. Swoon, dude, swoon. Like, oh my god. Because he's a Roman man.
You want romance? Fucking love
Most
it.
of these other people are like, they would send her like a goddamn dagger and a noose and then like, pick bitch. Like, for real. Like, look at Antony and Octavian and all. Like, nah.
Yeah.
Like Octavian, we haven't gotten into him yet. He's a rat bastard, which we know. However, like, he left, like, his wife. This is a little bit after Cleo, or I think it was a little after Cleo. Time frame. Don't know. Point is, he's married to this one bitch.
Yeah.
Right? She preggers, gives birth, and as soon as the baby's born, he divorces her for Livia, who's also pregnant.
Well, he's just a rat bastard all over.
And I'm like, so like, really? This is the bar in hell for Roman men.
He's in hell and digging.
It's just like, so like, yeah, we would all go like, okay, well, that's the bare minimum to show up. Like, if your wife gets caught for your bullshit, just stand up and like plead for her. This is Rome, guys.
No, this is Rome. This is actually above and beyond in that society.
He just seems like a loyal guy, level-headed.
I love.
He knows how to calm people down most of the time.
And
he's not exciting.
He's not exciting.
But I think we would be friends.
But here's the thing. He was able to take the city from Antony.
Yeah.
Turn that shit around.
After he done fucking
football. After Antony fucked it up, because Antony is not good at economics.
No.
He is not good.
He's good in the
at rallying
moment.
people. He is good as a soldier.
He's a soldier. He's good in the moment. And he is charismatic. He's not like one of those ones who pisses everyone off. No. Only if he's overstays his welcome. He's like that guy at the party. You know, he's fun at the beginning, but by the end, he's like the guy who also broke your table. And you're like,
it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Because he is kind of a jock and party boy. He is. Like, he would not be the new Dionysus if he wasn't.
I still don't believe the chariot and the lion.
No, I know. And like, people throw that one out around a lot. And I'm just like, have you tried navigating a cat? Herding cats is literally a phrase. This is literally what that would be. And they're lions. I don't buy. Or leopards, whatever. And I don't buy.
But
well, it probably depends on the story because it's bullshit.
Yeah, agreed.
It's bullshit.
Fully agreed.
So,
yeah,
that's part of it. So then, Fulvia the Vulvia.
Fulvia the Vulvia. Fucking love her. Like, I will never be able to look at the name Fulvia and not think fucking Peaky Blinders now, because I cannot, like, unmask those two. I will never
get off. I will always die on that hill for her. She was too good for these fuckers.
She was
loyal and good. And yes, sure, she was a mob boss busting kneecaps. But you know what? She was busting kneecaps for the people, man. Like,
she was.
She stood up to men and went like, and she was like, "Deuces, bitch."
She's like, "Fuck off," and just
but like for the people she cared about, she was deeply loyal and fierce, and I loved that. And she got done dirty. Antony. Do better.
And Antony fucked her over. Antony absolutely fucked her over. I fully and completely believe she was killed. She was either killed or told to kill herself.
I Fulvia believe in that. I Fulvia
believe in that.
So, speaking of women who got done dirty.
Oh.
Sweet baby Octavia.
Sweet baby we need to do an episode on her. I need a deep dive into her because she's
fascinating because it goes well beyond this.
She seems angelic.
In
comparison.
Well, it's really interesting too because like when we do like I think we need to do kind of like an Livia Octavia series. Okay. Specifically, I think I want to do it from the point of view of Livia. Okay. Because she's around for all of these people and beyond when they're gone. So it makes to me the most sense. We'll always do it from Octavian's point of view, Lex, Augustus. But I think honestly, like if we're being more practical, and I just can't help but love that, do it from Livia, because she lives well into like her late 80s, early 90s.
Fantastic.
Old bitch. Love that for her.
Love that.
Through her, you can talk about Augustus. You can talk about Octavia. You can talk about Tiberius. You can even talk a little bit, like right through like Tiberius and like Julia and all of these other people who could deserve their own stories. But through her, she's kind of like this weak connection through all of them. And she's shady lady sometimes too. But you know what?
I can appreciate.
She's giving Fulvia vibes, and she learns from the mistakes of these women. I don't want to say mistakes per se, but like what gets them killed, what gets them fucked over, and she is very good at pivoting, change the narrative, change what people are saying, and even then she's not immune, but she's the only one who gets out of it and dies old and happy and rich as fuck. And like,
here for that.
Granted, like when she dies, it all goes downhill, but that also says something, right?
Because she was.
That's when Tiberius goes off the deep end. That's when he's starting to have pedo Epstein Island, the OG. You know, like. Oh.
So she was able to keep him in check.
Keep all these fuckers in check. And Augustus Octavian, who's not known for being super cool with women, respected her, refused to divorce her, even though they never had kids. Pretty crazy.
Absolutely.
So that says a lot. And then and so that being said, Octavia, I think like she's in that same vein with her as being like in different ways the perfect Roman woman in their lives.
Yes.
And they're held on these pedestals, different pedestals, but
very much so.
One's like the perfect wife, the other's the perfect mother.
There you go.
And there's a little bit of competitiveness there. I mean, the history tries to make it like it's a cat fight. Not real. It doesn't seem like really though.
Why?
You know? But like we'll get into it at some point. But yes, Octavia, I decided originally I was like, do I want to do a Patreon on her? I'm like, I think rather I'd approach her kind of like we did with Fulvia in Livia's story, where she's still getting a spotlight. We are getting those details, but like it just makes more sense to do it from Fulvia's point of view because you're just going to be able to take all these other people that are also in her life. And that brings us to
fuck this guy.
Octavian.
Fuck this guy. I hate this little twerp. Oh my god. From the moment that he was introduced, from the absolute gargantuan amount of ego that this fucker has.
Yeah.
He would be somebody that I would go up to in the middle of the street and just punch him in the face.
Yeah.
I can't.
You know what's weird? Things I learned. He was hot. I know. Not like, I don't know, maybe he's not my type per se. But like, when you look at some of these other guys, you're like, oh, Nancy. Hot. But like, the rest of them, you're like, don't see it. Caesar, like
I don't see it.
But then you see like you see these like reconstructions, right? Like where they kind of like take those statues and like make it look like a person.
Yeah.
He's one of the few where I'm like, okay.
Maybe.
He's cute. He gives kind of like twink energy, but
hold on, I need to look at this now.
Yeah, he's not like he's like this blonde, blue-eyed guy, but like with
I have to see the recreation.
Yeah, just like Octavian real. I just was a little surprised. Like he's not ugly. No, like so. No, that's the statue version. Hold on. So he's really,
no, fuck that.
I mean, that's why I said he's not my type. However, he is very conventionally attractive.
Conventionally attractive.
He's one of those people like he kind of looks like Prince William.
That's exactly.
And you know, I'm saying like, is that my type? No, but like also like I would never say, oh, maybe, honey, you could have done better. Honestly, I'd be like, you know, I could see why people fell for his bullshit. Especially if you throw in that he's a little sickly on top of that, it gives a certain energy. It's like that, like, you know, like, yeah.
It is a facade of fragility.
But also, like, wow, he's so pretty, like, he could almost... And it's like, therefore, you don't see the shark.
Indeed.
It explains why he can get away with a lot. Because, unfortunately, this is a time period where if you're kind of... Or your beauty reflects morals, weirdly enough. Like, if you're ugly, you're cursed by gods. You must be bad. It's weird.
That is true.
It's a very weird philosophy, and it's deeply ingrained in their myths. So I just feel like that's why, like Tiberius is kind of known as being which I looked him up and I'm like, he's not that bad, but still. But yeah, it's like also why Caligula surprised them because they're like, oh, he was so cute at the beginning. Why? Weird. It's almost like those. That's what I say. Maybe if there's not correlation, like you could be like Cleo and be kind of hot and like also super smart and a decent person.
Absolutely.
So, Now we're going to kind of switch and discuss the holiday episodes.
Okay.
So first is like, how did we come up with these topics?
Okay.
And why did we pick them? And what did you learn, and what was your favorite one?
Okay, I loved Halloween.
I did too. Feast of Gévaudan.
The Feast of Gévaudan. One, I loved doing the opening.
Yes, that was sick.
The opening was so much fun.
I forgot for a minute we were recording. I was like, it sounded like an audiobook, and I loved it.
No, and honestly, like I've been told several times I need to go into audiobooks, but like at the same time, just actually reading it. And I'm the kind of person that as I'm reading it, and I'm sure you guys probably heard in the last episode of the season, like as I was going through as Cleopatra Selene, like I was crying.
Yeah.
Like there are several of them, like I can't help but I am emoting with them.
Which I do the writing for a lot of these.
Yes. So his writing is phenomenal.
And I'm just trying
to bring it to life.
Because I really try to get us in that moment.
Absolutely.
Like really relate to these people.
Absolutely.
Some of it's most of it's I try to be as historically accurate as possible. But like there's some like where like, you know, like for example the Mark Antony one, like where I took from Shakespeare a little bit, you know, because that, but I also wanted to do the point of view of Caesar's late wife, because we didn't get to talk about her very much.
No, we didn't.
That's one who deserves a Patreon for sure. But yeah, and it's just like I wanted
series, The Wives of Rome.
But it's like doing it rather than some rando, right? Almost like the invisible person that we don't talk enough about. And like, but she's important, and she would have context more than like some rando.
Oh yeah.
And like, kind of like, I think that hit home too with like what was going on in our country. It's like you got these people speaking, and like everyone just the mob, but that there's nuance. Like it's more complicated, you know, and like that this is scary, but what's going to happen is going to happen.
And it's what is the most frightening to me. Like I said, I edit all this shit, right? As I was editing this stuff was popping up on the news. I'm like, we just recorded this. What the fuck?
Yeah. But like, I would agree though, Beast of Gévaudan, because it was kind of nice. Honestly, it was. I don't want to say irrelevant. It is relevant because it's like, oh, it's kind of like when we start like stop like going like, oh, it's a fucking witch, it's a monster, and more so much is like they were in that moment like, okay, what animal is this? Like they're like, we just gotta figure out what animal. Like there's beasts. It makes it sound scary because it was, but like there was a genuine like, okay, what the they were approaching.
Like, what are we hunting?
Yeah, it was more of a like an actual genuine scientific almost approach. I want to say, you know.
Yeah. No, because it was grids. It was fucking.
I'm sure there was people who were like, it's a demon, it's a curse, or whatever. But like the people like in the hunts and stuff were like, okay, no, like it's in confidence. And like also one of those weird reasons, like just like that book, maybe that was a turning point for French Revolution, because that was the beginning of their seeing these people are fucking incompetent.
Yep.
And people are dying because of this incompetence.
People are dying because of the incompetence, and the crown refuses to acknowledge that they fucked up.
Yeah.
And they did not actually get the beast.
And like kept right. And weren't listening to people on the ground.
Exactly. Like I
didn't do anything to even acknowledge the death. Like it was annoying and inconvenient, and we're not talking about it. Like
very much.
Wow. I matter that little.
Exactly. Now I loved doing you know, of course, Saint Nicholas and Krampus.
Especially with the bleeding juices.
The pickled heads.
But that too. I meant to like the bleeding like casket and like people potentially drinking it.
No.
Like the Santa wine.
No.
Just how I view mulled wine, to be honest.
Nope. I'm gonna.
Is it? It wouldn't be Christmas without cannibalism. Am I right? If there weren't dead kids to cannibalism, it's not. It's not my Christmas. I just, you know, the next time I have like some Karen who's like, you know, it's Merry Christmas, be like, do you have any severed kids' heads? Do you have any crystallized Santa juice? Have you been drinking blood of Santa lately? Then it's not my fucking Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Max.
So, I mean, definitely we had some fun with those holiday ones. I want to keep doing that.
Yes.
For sure.
And I'm kind of sad that we missed Valentine's Day, but we did do the
Lupercalia
Lupercalia inside of the season.
Well, we were trying to wrap this up too and just really
Yes.
push through, and it's like, okay, like we really gotta get through this,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm definitely thinking next year we'll probably do something. I want to try and do something maybe for spring this year.
Yes.
And I'm not quite sure what that is yet. Whether I just do something more generally. I don't know if I want to get too heavy into Easter or Ostera yet because there's a lot to it.
There is a lot to it, and
I
there's a
feel like-
lot to. Oh, maybe she didn't actually exist, but that is a topic for a different day.
Right. Versus maybe doing just something that's like spring oriented. Like maybe do a fun fairy tale story or something.
Absolutely.
Kind of like we did with Beast of Gévaudan. It's like a spooky history mystery.
And you know what? We have those for every season, so that's definitely.
Also, I'm sure I could find some crime that happened on goddamn Easter in history. I'm sure there's some kind of Easter revolt.
Massacre.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like
I'm sure there
absolutely.
is. So
absolutely.
Honestly, it feels like that's a thing, and I feel like that's ringing the bell. So
I'm
sure
I'll
find it.
Ringing the bell here too.
I would like to keep it light, but
we don't do that very well.
No. So, all right. So, why do we do the cold opens? I think we kind of answered that already.
Yes. It's atmosphere. It is bringing you into the story. I got hair in my mouth. Blah. But it is realistically, how are you going to picture and imagine? I want you to have your senses tingling because you are so in it. That is I think that's the biggest point here.
And I find it interesting that, they call them cold opens. I'm sure there's a reason, but like, I always think of cold as like, you plunge into that shock. Mm-hmm. Whereas that's kind of the opposite of what we're doing. We're trying to ease you in. It's like, ooh.
We're a frog in water that's getting gradually hotter.
Yeah. Well, that's a metaphor for a lot of things.
Indeed. But, so it really is going to set the scene. I think that's the biggest part. It sets the scene. It sets the tone. Even when our cold opens for when we were just going over like the blanket of what Rome was going through in the initial, before we even started diving into Cleo and Antony and everything, like those were harsh.
Yeah, those
were incredibly harsh, and it kind of brings you into like the nitty gritty of that society at that point in time, and so I think it's incredibly important.
So for the next question, what were some of our favorite moments of this season? It's really hard for me to pick one, but I just remember the laughing, those moments where like we just could not control ourselves anymore. There were so many good ones. I would say probably the one that jumped out at me was like when you were physically here and we were kind of recording together.
Yeah.
And we were doing Fulvia the Volvia and we couldn't stop. Like we were out of control. That was bad.
It was so bad. It was so good though.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, like, just so that you guys are aware, we're recording remotely. He's here, I'm over at my place, and we're recording.
Or sometimes at our workplaces at the time.
At our workplace at the time, because we used to work at the same place, just different stores, but that place went under.
Yeah, there was only a few at the beginning where we were able to really do it together.
Yeah.
Because we physically worked at the same building, and it was really slow at those places, and we could go like hours without. That was part of the reason we did the podcast, because we got nothing better to do.
We had nothing.
So back to question one. But it was like we had all this free time to do it, and that was always my concern. Like, well, what if we can't do this anymore? Like, you know what, we're going to tackle that when we get there, and I think we've done.
I think we have done excellent on that regard.
Yep.
Because now we work in separate places, but we're still able to get this up and running, still able to do what we need to do.
And despite me juggling, juggling school on top of that, and it was like, but we found a way to really slice that time. And I think that we, at this point, like going forward, I'm like, I feel like we can do anything, honestly, because it's like, if we could handle holidays, different jobs, different schedules, you're having kids, and me having school and everything else, and still manage to bang out an episode every fucking week, we can do this. Sometimes two.
Sometimes two.
Because of the holidays.
Because of those holidays, or the surprise hey, chickpea, you know.
Right. And yet we figured it out.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of my like weird, like it's not really like moments so much as just like I loved some of those days where I was like, say it like we worked at, it was a mattress store. It was you, if you won't know, it's Metro Mattress. Unless you're local, you won't know it. But they're no longer in business. But I was at this Geneva store, and a lot of the time it was the summer, and so this store really had a beautiful, weird location, like vantage point. Like there's all this glass and like these trees and the breeze, and I could see the sunsets, and like it was such a good mood. It was so cozy, and like I don't know, like we were doing a lot of the Dionysus episodes, like right, that was like really kind of at the beginning was Dionysus, Isis, and I loved. I had a candle going because we could do whatever we wanted.
We were chill.
But like like just it was a vibe, and like there's sometimes I miss that. Sometimes
occasionally,
I don't miss the bullshit with those jobs, but like I do, like it was a vibe, and it, like I felt like weirdly inspired because there was nothing better to do but write, and I would write for hours, these different episodes, and I'm still trying to do that. I'm still doing, I feel like I'm doing pretty good, but but yeah. So the next question would be like, what were some of your feelings that well, what were some of our feelings that we experienced at that last episode? I mean,
I think you and I were both in tears on and off throughout.
Yeah.
There
were some really hard moments.
There were some incredibly hard moments, and I actually had to kind of like cut out like a couple sniffles from my side. Like it was bad.
Yeah, I remember because like, and I was just, it was tough to go through. I know there were a couple moments where we made a joke here and there, but I think comparatively to a lot of the other episodes, it was heavy and it was very serious. And then we really didn't want to joke, like dead ass, like like it wasn't like we're trying to like. And I think it came off that way, it definitely came off in the proper way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it was hard.
And also like on other scales, crazy. It's like like I was ready to wrap this up, like ugh. Then I was like, wow, this is coming. We're
actually saying goodbye to these people because even though we're separated by 2,000 years.
And clearly the story's been around forever.
And the story's been around for forever. Because we went so deep, we had personal relationship with these people as characters. As, even though we've never met them, like there is a certain amount of love that we have.
Yeah, we were rooting for them.
Absolutely.
And there's part of me that's just like, of course we know how the story ends, but it's like there's this little part of me that's like, God, I wish I could rewrite it.
Yeah.
Where they get to live and have their family and live out the rest of their days. And
I can't think about that because
I know we're getting emotional.
No,
we're done
today.
We're done with it.
We're actually on camera today.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not doing that today.
So, and like I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but like do you think that the story needs to be told after knowing what we know now? Had we heard the story before growing up or whatever, and how has that changed now that we've done this whole season? I think we've kind of covered that.
Yeah, we've kind of covered that.
But like again, just to reiterate, like again, going in that the story needs to be told broader. Yeah. And like I think it's a really important tale where like the power of propaganda and why we should re-examine these stories. And like for women, especially, it's a powerful story of like women can do a lot. And they don't need to be tragic. I mean, it is tragic that she passed, but she did a lot of good between that.
Oh, she did. She did amazing things for her people. And she actually took the time to get down there and know them.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things.
And he did too. He did a great job, honestly, really getting to know his people and things like that. And really...
His soldiers,
the common man.
Yes.
And like he was even beloved by the Egyptians, despite being a Roman, because he knew his place, sort of. Like, like...
Were they opulent? Yeah.
Yes, but like, like he wasn't trying to tell them what to do either.
No. And it was more so like they were allowed to be opulent because they were so beloved.
Yeah, and so like for the next question, we kind of again touched this a little bit, like what were some of the challenges that we faced this season and things like that. And I think it was just honestly
life,
but changing of jobs and things
Yeah.
like that. That was crazy because we had she had bailed, jump ship early, which is good.
Okay.
I couldn't just jump because
No.
I couldn't do it.
No, but I had been, if you're in New York State or anything like that, I had been following the bankruptcy proceedings, and I knew my dates.
Yeah,
because
and they tried telling us like, oh, those don't mean anything. We're like,
full shit. So I was following it. One of my other coworkers was following it, and we were kind of cavorting back and forth. We're like, I don't know. And I saw the writing on the wall.
And I did too, to be fair.
Yeah,
It wasn't like I was ignorant.
It
was more that like part of me couldn't afford to just leave, but also part of me could afford to just stay there and write it out and like try to find that transition as it was happening. It was just because of school and everything. I just couldn't. And like I had already made the option if I stayed till the end and there's that severance package, I could, or like unemployment, I could at least ride that, get through my classes, get through school, do this recording, and then like work on finding another job or something. I was willing to risk it for the biscuit. But for me, it worked out great because it turned out I got hired as an interior designer somewhere else. So I'm like, hey, that was not my bingo card.
Ta-da!
But, and I'm making way more money than I could before. Would much rather have this be the thing that makes me all my money. But you know what? I'll settle it. It's fine. We're doing good.
We're still being creative. So
still get to be creative. Still get to be cute. Yeah. And make it still
get to be cute.
Yeah, get to dress cute. Like whatever. Actually, very validated in like my workplace. People respect me. So, I mean, but that was the big challenge, was these constant upheavals in my career and everything else, and school. Like, oh my god, and that was honestly a dumpster fire that I'm still dealing with. But I ended up having to take, for this semester, like, a leave of absence just to like zen, collect myself, get fully into this job, settled in, and then like maybe I'll pick it up from there. I don't want to say maybe, but like, it's tough.
It is. And I know on my side, obviously my kids, but also I had a serious relationship end, and in a very, 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 very bad way.
Which we don't get into too much that if we don't have to.
Yeah, we don't need to get too much into that, but there was personal things. So we had like the upheaval of the company going under, but also I had my personal life doing somersaults, and I'm just like,
and I definitely was like, do you want a minute? And like she's like, no,
bitch, let's go.
Like it definitely motivated you by the end. You're like, fuck men. Men ain't shit. Roman men ain't shit.
Roman men ain't shit, and Rome never fell. It became the United States. But
through weird through line.
Very weird through line.
We kept all the shitty parts. Not that there were too many great highlights, but whatever. I mean, it's democracy for who, of course, but
always.
So I want to kind of discuss too, like what's going on with the Patreon, right? Because and I know like that's just started. Like we're just starting, and we haven't gotten tons of traction yet, and that's okay. We're working on different ways of maybe doing that, and I can't wait for the day where we look at this hindsight. But remember when we were baby podcasters and we had to tell everyone how much we suck, But but like not that we suck. We got weirdly like 35 people from Hong Kong who are listening to us.
Oh, that's fine.
I was like, I really hope they're not using us for a fucking report, because I mean, I validate my sources are great, but it's beside the point. I'm like, oh wow, imagine using us for an English class. Like, like if they learned English, they're gonna say fuck Roman men a lot. Fulvia the Vulvia. Like, yeah, the historical figure Fulvia the Vulvia. That's
Cleopatra.
Gonna be real awkward. Cleopatra. That's right. That's like how it's going. Vulvia and Cleopatra.
Vulvia and Cleopatra.
Oh no.
Oh god. No.
Those are our stage names. Remember that. We got to fight over who's getting what, though. I don't know. I feel like
rock, paper, scissors.
I don't know. Part of me. Oh, no, I love the idea of Fulvia the Vulvia. That sounds really intense, but Cleopatra sounds like a diva.
We'll flip a coin for it. It'll be fine.
Right, that ginger,
Eventually, we
that
will
ginger
have
slut.
t-shirts.
Yeah, Cleopatra, that ginger slut who does all the coke. This is why we can't be used in education.
This is why we can't be used in education. We
Imagine that's going on in someone's little middle school.
No.
Oh
Oh no! Oh, it got hot in here.
no.
Ooh, baby doll.
All right, so like some of the things that have been going on in the Patreon, right? Like we started, well, we did the whole Atlantis series.
Yes.
Which is not what you think. You know, I think that, you know, it's not like, oh, Atlantis. Like, it's like a much darker history by the end.
A very mustachy history.
Yeah, they decided by the end that Atlantis don't exist. Like, it might, like, the story might have been inspired by some stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, even then, I think that's kind of a reach. I think that's us trying to, not us, but, like, historians, people in general, trying to be like, oh, well, this kind of fits that story. And I really do think it was just, like, a rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, because like at any point you're like, okay, this vague loose story is like it was this big city that was doing really well, and then a natural disaster happened and they died. That fits so many, you know. And it's like, right? It's like less more that he was inspired by a specific thing. Is like it happened all the time.
No, and if we're looking at even the like the geographical aspect of like it was here.
We did that too.
Yeah, we did that too, and it reads more like
we're trying to fit it.
A very long time ago in a land far, far away. Like,
all right, and it's just like, and we tried fitting those pieces, gang, and like it just doesn't really.
It don't.
It's fun.
Like, is there an island off of España?
Yeah.
That sunk? Yeah.
Yeah, but like there's a lot of islands that have sunk and things like that over time. Like it is just. It's coincidence, sort of, but also like we're just trying to fit this into a fictional narrative, and that is always going to work if it's a fictional narrative because you can make it whatever you want to be because it's fun, but you have to recognize it's fiction. Yes. And also like the idea that there was a super race that like was the inspiration for all the other races, and like they were the master race who were the founder of every language. They also were tall with bright blue eyes and white hair.
It sounds about white.
Which is really unfortunate. I ruined my favorite Disney movie for myself. Because I'm like, oh no.
I know.
I'm like, hey, they gave them brown skin though. Like that's something. But like also in the sequels, we're like Native Americans are just taught everything by that master race. You're like, oh.
You see,
and then of course the Atlantis artifacts were found in like Scandinavia and Germanic regions. And you're like, oh, you up there. Yahtzee!
And Bingo was his name.
So we covered Atlantis.
Yep.
We did like ancient winemaking.
Oh yeah, we did ancient winemaking, the Fayum mummies.
Yes, the Fayum mummies, that's my actual background was art history. So I really got to dive into something I'm really deeply familiar with. Mm-hmm. Like it's not. I am a historian, but I was an art historian first.
Yeah.
So it's it's less problematic when you can just like analyze art pieces. Like you're like
Indeed.
You can just look at something surface level and it's fine. Yeah. Like you don't, you can make some inferences and things like that, but it's less messy than the people typically.
Indeed. But we went through that, and then we did start a new series.
Yeah, it happens. See, this is the kind of thing that happens
all the time. All the time.
So this was happening all the time when we were working.
Yeah, so I'm just cut it.
So you don't get to cut this, but but it's like you get to see that. But yeah, I mean, we've started the Triple Goddess kind of series,
that's what I was trying.
Which I ended up picking up the book too, and that may have kind of started this whole thing.
Fantastic.
That's and it's like kind of like this misconception, and like I feel like well-meaning. It's not. But like, yeah, it's interesting. But like, these were triple aspects. There were those things, but the idea of mother, maiden, crone became more of that's more of the thing, the nuance that we're trying to break up a little bit.
Yes.
And like that did exist from time to time, but it's like the idea that there's this through line, and again, kind of master racy.
It does get master racy.
It's like,
but at the same time.
Based
it is
off
taking a modern concept and trying to overlay it on ancient things, and it's like, hold on, you can't do that.
there's a
that
book called The
doesn't
White
work.
Goddess written by this guy,
Mm-hmm.
and from he's used a lot by. I feel like I listen to a lot of podcasts where
Mm-hmm.
they'll say like and like take it with a grain of salt. It comes from this guy, and I'm like, is he a historian or what? Turns out he's not. He was just some like poet, but he's trying to make all these connections and things. He's an educated man, but he's a product of his time. And so he's trying to make these connections of like, oh, like Hecate and Morrigan and like this, like it's the white goddess. And this idea of like, yeah, and
That's
right. And I'm like,
it's a little mustache.
little bit, but not quite.
Not too much, but it's
not
a little mustache.
not like in a it's harmful of a way, like intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of like just correlation and like our little monkey brains want to find patterns.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why you have to take it with a grain of salt because it's not like based off of like fact or like hard evidence or archaeology or anything. It's like
Indeed.
Our personal thoughts and like our like I noticed this thing. Sure.
Yeah.
But is it a common motif sometimes? Yes, but like also when you start dissecting it, you're like, okay, but these people really have nothing in common.
No, they have nothing in common, but at the same time, it's just like, what is a constant in our life? Time. What do we do over time? Age. What do we have in different ages of our lives? But the idea of
like Hecate, we're going to talk about, we've started with Hecate, we're going to talk about the Norns, the fates of like, like Germanic folklore and things like that, specifically like Scandinavian, and then like the Morrigan. And Morrigan's like witchcraft. Like, yes, but very specifically battle and very particular brand. Like really, like when you scratch and like in the way, like the Norns, kind of magic-y, but they're really about time.
Yes.
And so it's like when you scratch that veneer, it doesn't take long. Like, yes, magic, but very different personalities, different people, entirely different aspects. And there's a triplicate, but even that, it's like, what does it mean? I would say it seems like even if you take the Morrigan triplicate, which is probably the closest to the idea of Mother Main Crone, it's more that she's a shapeshifter.
Yes.
Less that like there's 3 of her. And so then we get into that. We're starting with Hecate and going from there. I'm just kind of breaking up some of those misconceptions. And then finally, there's some other ones where we were doing like Scaldi.
Yes.
Which is going to be a hint kind of towards what we're doing next, right?
Indeed.
If you're making the through line of Scaldi, the Norns, and then finally, I've got like a whole like document that's like all these different rando ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
Based off theme, like I'd love to do like a waves and sun kind of thing, like beach day vibes, where we talk about like Poseidon because we talked about Atlantis. So like Poseidon, Helios and Apollo, and like the mermaid goddess of vengeance. Love that. With her little sacred fish that you could pet, and I love that.
Yes.
And like talking about maybe like Baiae, like this beachside Sin City Hamptons combined place. And all this, like, I think that'd be fun. It's like, where it's like, I want to talk about it, but you can't really make a whole season out of that kind of thing.
No, and the Patreon is more so like, hey, we're able to do deep dives into smaller conversations.
Yeah.
These are more bits and pieces
and
versus...
and sometimes they have something to do with, like, what we're actually talking about. Sometimes not at all.
Exactly.
Like, the Atlantis thing was kind of way out left field. I mean, you could say it was Greek, but, like, even that. But, like, you know, it's just like, it started because she was watching Atlantis with her kids. I'm like, that'd be fun to do. And then we ruined it.
And then we ruined it for ourselves, too.
Damn it.
It was great.
Damn it. Like, I kind of knew a little bit of that, but I was like, oh, it goes real deep. It's like, what directly inspired it? I thought it was more that, like, the Atlantis later myths were inspired by Yahtzees, but no, the Atlantis myths inspired the Nazis.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh.
Unfortunately.
Yikes. And I'm like, that's a weird through line. Like, it took a while to get there, but it got there.
Oh, it sure did.
Yeah, but go ahead and listen to that. So then, what are some of the future seasons we've talked about in that same vein?
Gosh.
So, what we plan next, right, is
roll, please.
Is witchcraft in Germany. It's like, it sounds like niche, but it's witchcraft, but this is where we're going to kind of discuss structure.
Yes.
So witchcraft, it starts off with early German like paganism.
Mhm.
Specifically, we're looking at from the perspective of women,
Yes.
right? I mean, men were also in this, and of course we're talking
Mhm.
about them, but like women clearly kind of the feature, unfortunately, for a lot of this, or fortunately,
Fortunately or unfortunately.
depends on
So
the time, which is what we're getting into.
exactly. So this is more of like time traveling through ages initially, okay? And where we land, be prepared to get dark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, where we start, it's really societal. We're
Yeah.
looking at communities. We're looking at tribal type communities and things like that.
Which
And-
is where we have to be careful, because Nazis again.
and
They taint so much though. It's like
they tainted so much because they were so widespread.
well, it's like they're trying to like take again like the Atlantis thing, right?
Mhm.
Like a fiction and pulled from real life and go, oh, it fits our fiction. And now people don't want to touch the stuff with a 10-foot pole, you know, because again, they talked about like Germania, like the great ancient German race. And it's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
It was like just like we talked about Celts and Gauls, and there's so much bleeding between back and forth.
Yeah, and isn't okay. From what I have read, because I've read a couple articles, isn't it like even Vikings were doing trade in like Turkey, and there is bloodline connections through.
Of course.
So there
Sicily,
was never
like the Normans.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
it was constantly interconnected and
like you had Normandy
like
as from the Norse, but then also they established the colony in Sicily, and like that was a whole thing, and they ejected the like Muslims that were there or whatever, and like so yeah, they were widespread, but there's always that bleed. But even in like kind of the more narrow time frame that we talk about, like the more ancient German, like where it's like okay, more generalized, and yes, we have to generalize, right? Because we don't have enough information about one individual thing or another.
Yes.
But like there is some generalization that there's a shared language.
Yes.
Shared culture. But what does that mean? Well, just like Greece, right? You had dialects, right? And a person from Doric versus Ionic versus whatever are sometimes like the language is almost completely different. And I'm not a linguist, so I always wondered like if it's so dissimilar that they can barely understand each other, then why don't we call it a different language? Just like Portuguese and Spanish are similar, but they're not dialects.
Here's the thing, my dear. Have you heard a Cajun individual speak?
Well, it's kind of like that, but like I don't know. It always
it's how it forms.
Yeah,
it's how it forms. So I'm from the South.
You sure are.
I sure
am. You a big old Texan.
I'm a big old Texan, but
it slips out once in a while.
It does occasionally. Occasionally, theater didn't beat it completely out of me, but with all of these kinds of dialects, it's like there are a couple that are up in like Boston, Long Island that I sit here, I'm like,
yeah,
what are you saying? But on the reverse side, there are some dialects down south that they hear and they're like, what the fuck is that? What kind of backwoods bullshit is coming out of your mouth?
Like, yeah, like I remember watching Swamp People. And there's this one guy where, I'm like, what the? They literally have to put subtitles on. You know, not the ones that you put on. Like, I don't know about you. I always have subtitles on. Like, but like, and I'm listening to my own fucking language. But like, but then like they have like the forced ones, and I'm like, oh wow, like it's almost like when you watch a documentary and it's like someone speaking in like, you know, like say you're like in Egypt and they're speaking Arabic and they translate it, right? It's like I always found that weird as an adult. Like, okay, hold on, like so the interviewer's like speaking in English, and you can tell that's where the editing is because it's like, so tell me about this tomb, and then the guy speaks in total Arabic, and it's like, wait, hold up, because if he could understand the English, he would just speak English. But he doesn't. He's for something like so. There's
there has to be a translator
in between, and like you're just not getting that. But that's kind of like what they did with an American guy, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's hilarious. No, so it's just a weird situation where he does understand you, you just can't understand him.
Exactly. Like, it's seriously that's how language develops. You have these little pockets. You got these little pockets, and then yes, you're going to have accents and tonalities that like don't make any sense to you.
Yeah. So essentially, we're going to start off with like ancient Germania, Germany, right? Understanding, and we talked about that in episode 1. We set the landscape and honestly the tone. Like, look, we're not saying that they're this unified grand thing, but they as far as we can see, had shared gods and things like that, which would end up influencing as they did become more codified, the Scandinavian ones, right?
Yes.
And I was looking into that too, like, okay, like certain people are classified as like the concept of Jotun, giant, even though like they probably worship them as gods or hero folk, kind of like a Hercules kind of situation, versus like giants by the time they become Scandinavian, mostly are villains, not if immortal, not divine, with rare exceptions. Like, and even then, like Scaldi's kind of sort of like called like a giantess slash goddess.
Yep.
She doesn't quite fit the mold of even like a Freya or a Frigga, which that's also interesting too, because I always assumed that, oh, like those were the same people. And there's my research is showing me not so much. Like there is some theories that they may have been originally one, but even then that's contested. Whereas is it more that, okay, is it that or the other way around where we started conflating them because they were so similar?
And that's,
or why is it that where they were the first people originally and then they became separate? And it depends on the story, because sometimes, you know, it's like Batman, like, well, I haven't seen Bruce Wayne or Batman in the same room. Frigga are sometimes in the same room.
Yep.
So it's like, well, they can't be the same person if they're
in the same room.
But it's like, where are we? Right. And it's like, where is it? Because maybe some areas did conflate them. And that's the nuance.
Yes.
Everyone's different, where they're like Frigga, Freya, same person. Other people are like, no, they were two separate people. They could be both. They could be both depending on who you're talking to.
That is something that we will cover. That is
so, but we will talk about like generally how women kind of fit in these societies, because we do know what their later outshoots look like. And then also interesting how much Frigga and Freya are a part of like the founding myths of some of these like people, like like I forget which one it is, like the Goths or someone.
Was it the Visigoths?
I think it was it was the Lombards, which translates the long beard, because Frigga apparently in this myth, and we'll probably get into it more, but like long story short, she makes a bet with Odin, which they seem to have a nice relationship, which is refreshing.
They have a pretty decent
relationship. Just like there's this whole like chair, there's a throne on top of the universe, and other than him, she's the only one who can sit up there, and sometimes they sit up there together. And I'm like, oh, there's like one chair, and they're like all cuddled up, and like, look at the universe, guys, look at the stars. And I'm like, that's I love that, especially after dealing with fuck daddy Zeus and how he treats Hera. Okay.
Well, yes.
I'm not saying Odin doesn't go around fucking around other people. Probably does, but like, there's less of it. I don't feel like there's as many. But the point is that they have this like fun bet, which is dealing with human lives, but whatever. Who he's going to back, and I guess she convinces like, hey, Odin will help you. If your women show up, take your hair and like just tie it in front of you and make it look like a beard. So it looks like there's more men in your army. So the women showed up with that, and he goes, oh, wow, that's people with more people, so I'm going to side with them. And then it's like, haha, bitch, it turns out they're women. And so they get called the Lombards or the Longbeards. And I love that. I love that. It's so cute because like Frigga kind of like outsmarted Odin, the god of wisdom and smartness.
Well,
right. But
to be contested.
I know it's
Odin, but that's my
argument is like book smart versus street smart.
Yes.
And I like to think that Frigga's the street smart.
Yes.
And I love that.
She's practical.
Or like you know, like that one guy, he's like Noah's the smart guy, and then you meet their wife, and they're like, oh, you love my sweet dumb husband, don't you? And you're like, it turns out they're the smarter one, and you're like, there's a smarter one. And you're like,
yep.
I love that.
Always.
So, but yeah, so we're going to start there, and then we're getting out of ancient land.
Yeah. And
we're going to have a hard reflection with part 2, which is the witchcraft trials of the 15th and 16th centuries.
And this one's going to be hard. Okay, like I said, it's dark.
But we need that. It's a reflection of the same geographic peoples, right? And that reflection, right, of how their ancestors treated women, magic, all those things, and then how 1,000 years later, roughly, these same communities, how women are treated. And not just women, there are men, we talk about it too, and kids and stuff, but like specifically women tend to be the main focus of this, right? And so I think the first half's going to be a little bit lighter, kind of like we did the last time.
The last time where it's
Dionysus main ads and like ripping people apart. Like, Isa's turning men into ladies and ladies into men.
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, queen. And like, yes, king. I'll make you a king if you want to be a king, bitch. And like,
done.
Like we're doing the golden dongs. There's like cum summonings and all sorts of fun shit. And then it's like, and now people are dying. There's misogyny. There's corruption.
The chains and the weight of patriarchy.
Yeah, you're like, damn.
God fucking shit.
And that's kind of what's going to happen this time. It's going to be like, again, fun and like patriarchy. Right. Damn it. But it is shorter by far. I did the math. I've broken it down, done a lot of the drafts and outlines for all the episodes. And I don't think we're going to exceed more than 20. Okay. It doesn't seem like we're going too far beyond that. I think it's like 20, 21 if you include like what we're doing this with a season recap.
Yeah.
Versus the 34? 35?
35 with this.
All right. Just one kind of storyline. So it's like, yeah. And then even then I might be 18. Mm-hmm. I want to try and do it a little shorter because that was originally the goal was like 20 episodes and then it became 30. Like 30 crazy.
Yeah.
So it would have been more if we had split that last one up, but we didn't.
No, we didn't. We just powered through. Honestly, we really powered through it. We were trying to make it make sense for you guys.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing that we figured too, like breaking it up honestly didn't do the story justice. You kind of had to have it all together. So that's kind of like where we're at. And then we've kind of done some discussions for season 3 of getting out of Europe and white people.
Yes.
In general. Even though we were kind of in North Africa with Egypt, but like, it was Greek.
It was Greeks in
control. We really didn't talk too much about like actual Egyptian people, unfortunately. Indeed. But, we are definitely coming back to some of that. But for season 3, we decided to go kind of like way out there. And when we say way out there, we mean the Far East in Japan.
Yes.
Talking about, and we're kind of in the early planning of that.
We're in the early planning of that. It's
going to be in Japan.
Stay tuned, but it is going to be in Japan.
Yeah, it's going to be in Japan, whether we deal with what time period we're dealing with, how broad where the scope is, kind of, because I think we kind of know the time period, but it's whether we want to, do we let it escalate? Do we give it the deep dive it deserves?
Yes. The answer is yes.
It's just hard. I'd like to not be stuck again in 36 episode land. But it's like
you come to us for like the deep dives where we can be consistently.
It's like, do we try to push ourselves at that point and maybe like put more than one episode out a week? I don't know. It's like, do we do maybe once a month where we do like, or twice a month where we do a bi-weekly? I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
We'll have to figure it out.
It's still a ways away. We've got at least 20 weeks, at least, or 18 to 20 weeks, which is a couple months. So I think we're still good on that, but that's kind of like where we're at it.
That's kind of where we're at, and I know we are going to be taking a little break.
Yeah, a little
we're
one.
Take a little
baby
break,
one,
and that's really so that we can have a backlog. So we are not panicking to put out episodes.
Like we're still working. That's not even like we need to, like some people like I'm like, how do they do it? They take like a summer off, and they're like, we're just gonna take a summer off and like just go relax and not deal with this, and you'll burn out. And I'm like. But
that's so nice.
But I'm like, no, but I don't want to be that far along.
No, I would
rather I'm the one who does a lot of the research for it. It's kind of like, am I burnout? So far, no. I'm always burnout, to be fair. But like I like because of the ADHD, I'm a little manic. I'm like I get right back in it. But like, I can't stay away even when I want to. But
no, your brain won't let you.
But I think I was definitely getting burnout there because it was too much on one subject for too long.
It was too long on one subject.
Which is why I'm trying to make these seasons just a tad shorter. Just a tad. Still deep.
Yeah.
Just like I just couldn't be on Germany for months and months and months and months.
No, and in addition, like in the beginning, we really had set a time limit for our episodes, and by the end we were just like, you know what? Fuck it, full send.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, we're gonna do 45 minutes to like an hour and 15 minutes, and like, you know what? But like then we're cutting this all up. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Like there's probably a lot of them we could have just cinched them together.
Yeah.
So now we're like averaging it like hour and a half, 2 hours. But I think that's become more natural for our rhythm, and like
And this is part of the growing pains. This is part of the we're figuring ourselves out at the same time.
Yeah.
Because this is a newer dynamic, and as with anything, there's
And I
got to be
listen
ability
to,
to grow.
and as I start, and I get a lot of inspiration from other podcasts and stuff like that. As I'm listening to them, like some of them are 45-minute episodes. There's somewhere they are very consistent. They have 45 minutes to an hour at most. Wonderful. And I think they're good dives into things, especially when people don't know a ton about topics already. But then there's me, and I'm like, I want to tell you everything, every dirty detail. And I get actually mad at myself when I find out new info. I'm like, I should have thrown that into ISIS. There's so many myths. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, where like Osiris was apparently porking her sister. And like, that's where Anubis might have come from. I'm like, that feels like a big plot hole.
Yeah.
And there's a lot like even
big plot hole, big bad hole.
Even in like the story of like Horus and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I didn't cover that in that whole competition thing. I forgot about all of that. I'm like, and it's like, you know, didn't jip anybody, but I'm like, oh, I've done that, I've covered it. But it is what it is. But also, I have kind of a better format now on how I want to cover these gods, where it's a little more structured.
Yeah.
And like etymology, and then origins, and then, you know, myths and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that, you know, going for in epitaphs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So going forward, that's probably how I'm doing it. But, you know, like I said, we can always go back and retouch. But for me, the big thing is like, if you want to know like all different topics I have in mind, some include like Frida Kahlo. And I want to talk about Mexican history and Frida Kahlo and like how, you know, like where it's kind of generalized with some of the background, but because we need those background details, to talk about Frida and Diego. And like we're gonna have to talk about communism. We're gonna have to talk about, and they're like, oh my god, that's gonna be a huge series. But I love that because it's so wild and passionate, and like it's giving Mark Antony and Cleopatra vibes. So I'm a little nervous for myself, but also I have like 6 books on it. Like I'm like, there's so much info on that, or like do a Van Gogh series, like because I love art history and things. Or and talk about like, you know, that like the Beaux Epoque in France and the Third Empire, and then like there's like we talked about Octavia, like Livia and Octavia, and then like yeah, like
and we've even talked about you know, the Empress of Russia.
Yes, like and doing that whole and like doing Catherine the Great, and or doing the fall of the last Tsars, and like there's a lot of podcasts on those, but
there's so much that we want to go into.
And in Mesopotamia, which I feel like is a very neglected topic.
Yes.
Like talking, when I say Mesopotamia, like it's
Sumeria.
So we got the Sumerians, the Akkads, the Assyrians, the Hittites, all these different people from those areas, and like it's so like they get lumped together again in school.
They do.
And because you think of like, oh, Hammurabi, the Sumerian, that's Mesopotamian Sumeria, not Sumerian. He was this like completely different, and it's just like they all get lumped together, and yet they're completely different languages. That's like saying, oh, they're European. And people will get butthurt about that. But
it's a region, not a...
It's the European history. The history of Europe. Like, that's vague.
Incredibly
and like
vague.
Implying that they all are the same.
That is a large area.
And so like we want to talk about Inanna, which is like the origin of so many love goddesses, and like,
my patron goddess, like
yeah, no, right. And I'm into it. I love it. I love the mythos. I love like her being on hooks and like Jesus Christ.
She's literally on hooks in hell.
That was unexpected.
She is technically the original Jesus.
And then how she sends like, it's weird because it's like her husband, but then like it turns out she sends like he doesn't want to go either, so it's like, okay, we're gonna send some rando chick. And then she spent 6 months. She didn't even get a say in it.
No, she. Oh,
I know, like this poor rando chick.
This poor rando chick.
Like she did. She's like, wait, what?
But her husband can go kick rocks. He can fuck off. He wasn't even grieving her disappearance.
No. And it's just, but there's a lot to that. And like there's such this beautiful narrative, and like Gilgamesh and Enkidu.
And honestly, the gifts that she got from her father.
Yeah.
That part I loved so much.
There's just, and then of course the myth.
In a drinking game.
And myths in a bad way of like Anunnaki and like how that's used for weirdly white supremacy. Like weird.
Like it has nothing to do with people that are our color, and they're just gonna be like
ancient aliens tends to be like always comes back to white supremacy. Weirdly enough, it's weird. Even when they're talking about like a completely different like race, and you would think, okay, well, like how does that? Oh, because then apparently those become Europeans. Oh, Okay, sure.
It's
Because
stupid.
ancient people who aren't white, who, by the way, I feel like are always late to the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like while people are building entire civilizations like the pyramids and shit, they're still working on Stonehenge, and they're considered Neolithic and like non-writing and all
Mm-hmm.
this other shit. And I'm like, okay. And that's not me putting them down. I'm just saying, like,
No,
weird
that's
how we always make ourselves to be like, oh, we were superior. But I'm like, yeah, everyone else was doing shit long
yeah.
before the people in Europe. And there's a reason why, because of climate, because of opportunity and resources and shit. But give credit where credit's due, bro. You know, like, that's more what it is for me. But
you know what?
as
Even
the 6'2" white ginger, man,
even in our
thank God they made me gay. Because I'm like, that's what keeps me humble. That's what keeps me humble, bro. Otherwise, I have to have all of the audacity, I'm sure.
even in our deep dive into like the myths of Atlantis, and we talked about Dogland, right? Or what was it?
Doggerland. Yeah.
Doggerland. Sorry, how that is where the sea is now.
Yeah.
And now, here's the thing: these peoples might have been more advanced,
sure.
but all of that shit
for sure
is underneath the North Sea.
It's kind of like how we treat like Mesoamerican people in a way too, because it's like, oh well, they
Very
weren't
much so.
using like steel, so they must have been lesser. It's
And
like,
it's
yeah,
like-
they had like the Peruvians were kind of like, I don't want to say communist because it was different, but like, yeah, you were told what you were working at birth, kind of. You had to do a certain amount of military time every year, and then everyone had to provide a certain amount of resources, keep a certain percentage for yourself, and the rest was for like this essentially community pot in times of hardships. And it's kind of like what the Soviets wish that fucking had worked for them, but
No,
like
but even then,
and I'm not saying that's the right way to live. I'm just saying
they
like
were the first people to be able to have a brain surgery where people were lived afterwards.
Well, and the thing more for me was like when it talked about like the Inca and the Peruvians and stuff. I'm like, I didn't learn about all this shit. They had like collectives.
Yes,
this sounds awfully communist, and I'm like, and that's probably why they weren't talking about it because it was successful until white people showed up and kind of you know, they were doing pretty well. Yeah. And it's just kind of a system that had always kind of been there in different forms throughout all their different cultures there. So you're like, oh. And it's kind of like, yeah. And even like in the Americas, like, you had similar stuff going on. It's like, oh, it only worked because it was these small communities. You have the Incan Empire, large amounts of people. And you even have those kind of systems, even amongst the Aztecs. You're like, definitely more with the Inca, but like, just interesting. And we want that's another source we want. I'm just like
we're
I'm foaming at the mouth spitting about this. I'm so excited.
Believe me,
I'm rabid for it.
I love the Inca. I love the Aztecs.
So Stalinism. I want to talk about late Stalinism and like as an art movement, if nothing else. Like it's really interesting. Like it's social realism, and there's all these different people and groups that aren't like the Hetera of ancient Greece, like women and stuff and sexuality and like talking about Inanna, talking about like the eunuchs and what we might classify as transgender people who voluntarily did this. Also, that weren't eunuchs because that was the big thing for a long time is that they had their genitals removed, and a lot of them didn't. They were dressing as women and members of their community with kids, women, wives, and kids. And you're like, oh wow, so like you got one's essentially a transgender woman living with a woman having kids. Like that breaks all the non-binaries. Wait, what? Are they lesbian? Are they hetero? They have kids. Who knows? And it's like, who cares?
Who fucking cares?
But it's like the stories we don't talk about.
No, because
and I want to talk about them all.
Guess what? This shit has been going on since the dawn of time.
We're gonna be like 80 years old doing this, girl.
Fuck yes.
Be like, we still haven't covered this niche topic yet. We'll have to recap. We finally found Cleopatra's Stone, and we're gonna have to go back, re-record. And honestly, I want that. I want it so bad. That would be the happiest thing. Like, hey guys, we have to re-record the entire first season because we finally have Cleopatra's opinions. We finally have them.
We have her perspective.
And finally, that's the dream, bro.
That is the dream.
But on that note, a lot to look forward. You know, it's been kind of a lot of rambling, but hopefully you got a little flavor of like who we are as people and got to put faces to voices. Sometimes I feel terrible saying this. I've done that and I feel like, oh, that's not how I imagine they'd look. And I don't know why it's disappointing sometimes, but it's not disappointing, but it's just like weird. It changes. I don't know why it changes it, but
I mean, it does a little bit. It does a little bit because, of course, you know, you have the picture in your head of the person and then you see the person, you're like, oh.
But you know, I think we're hotties. I think we're cute. So, you know, plus size hotties, but you know, like whatever. Like, well, that's
Hey.
speaking for me at least, but 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 like, I don't know. I think that I think it's helpful, and like you get kind of get a glimpse of like why we did things,
Mhm.
and hopefully get excited, for what we do next, and
I'm excited.
yeah, I'm excited too. So thanks for joining this little journey, and in
Absolutely.
a few weeks, we will be back.
And we will be starting season 2, and we are absolutely thrilled for it.
And as per usual, this is kind of off the cuff. Follow us on socials. I've got an Instagram. I've got the Facebooks and stuff where we kind of, it's the Time Travelers Club podcast, and you
Mhm.
can find like I usually drop little hints of like what's coming up and things like that. I'm gonna try and be better now about being up now that season one's done, and I've got a little more free time of trying to be better about posting that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and then also, we've got a Patreon,
We've got our Patreon.
as we've discussed in length at this point. We would love to share some of those stories with you, and it's not expensive.
No,
Like
it's
like a couple bucks.
a couple bucks a month.
Like it's like we're just trying to get. It wouldn't even cover books at this point, but it would just feel really good to know, hey,
It's like,
people
hey,
care,
we're supported.
and like one day, hopefully, we'll cover books and we can make it into a career and everything. But we're still gonna do it, even if only one person fucking joins. Like
Absolutely.
whatever. Like I will do it till I die. I don't care. It's not the point. But it's like, hey, like we live in a capitalist hellscape and we got bills to pay. So if doing what we love can also throw us a coffee once in a while, fuck it, I'll do it.
Hell yeah.
Whatever. And we appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
And then, you can always send us, an email if you have ideas or suggestions or want to be
Comment.
like, hey, we love your fucking face. Like keep doing it, guys. And that's gonna be at the Time Travelers Club at gmail.com, or it's Time Travelers Club podcast at gmail.com. That's important. That's important. Tell your friends about us. The more we can get people behind us and things like that, the more we can keep this show going, and we love to have you guys.
Absolutely. And of course, we will see you once we come back for season 2. We're excited. We hope you're excited. And we will see you guys next time.
See you in Germany.
See you in Germany.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.